Miss Minerva here. Welcome to our virtual Sunday school church from the Lighthouse Family Center. I'm so glad that you're joining us today. Before we begin, I do want to give a few shout outs to a couple kiddos that have sent me some of their activities and have done some of the games that we did last week for last week's lesson. So here we go. Our shout outs go to Becky, who is very dedicated and continues to join in our virtual Sunday school. I also want to give a shout out to Jason and Ethan, who sent me pictures of the pinball machine that they made last week. And I also want to send a shout out to Adrian. I think he did one of our lessons and he sent in a picture last week. And I didn't even send him a shout out. So this is your shout out Sunday. I'm so glad you guys are joining us back today. I miss every one of you guys. And for those who are joining us and are not part of our family, I'm so glad you're joining us and sharing with us and learning about the good news in our Bible. So let's begin. So we are going to continue the book of Acts. And today is our last day speaking about stories that come from the book of Acts. I'm so excited to introduce today's character. His name is Saul, also known as Paul. So at a point in Paul's life, he was writing letters to many other churches all over talking about Jesus and all of the great things he's done for us and how to live a godly life. But before we talk about the letters that he sent, we need to learn about the life he used to live before he came to Christ. In one of his letters, he talks about a living sacrifice. Today, we're going to be talking about what it means to live a life of sacrifice. And Paul's life teaches us how to live a life of sacrifice. And in order to teach, I am going to use a few of these items to talk about the life of Paul before he came to Jesus. So what I have here is a paper towel, 2 glasses of water, which I will move to the side, and some color dye. So let's make pretend that this represents Paul's life. So Paul had a moment in his life when, he didn't quite like what the disciples and the followers were speaking about the life of Jesus and how to live. And during that time, Paul, he became kind of upset with all of those things, and his heart just got filled with anger and hatred, and he really, really didn't like the things that they were saying. So he made it a point to go all over and persecute all of these Christians. Remember we talked about what persecution meant last week? When someone doesn't like what you believe and what you live for? Well, Paul didn't like what the Christians believed and what they lived for. And so his heart got filled with hatred. And he made it a mission to stop what they were doing, which was spreading the good news. And in doing so, he did some very mean things to the Christians during that time. And you know what? Sometimes we do mean things to other people. Is that living a life of sacrifice? No, it's not. What does living a life of sacrifice mean? That's a weird one. Does it mean that you need to die on the cross the way Jesus did? Absolutely not. Living a life of sacrifice means that you live a good life that is pleasing to God. And anything that you do that is good will please God. That's what's living a life of sacrifice. Not because you want recognition, but because you do it because it pleases God. And Saul was not, at that time, living a life of sacrifice. So he went around and he would arrest those that were Christian and speaking about the good news. And he would hurt them and he would do some bad things to them until one day Saul was on his way to Damascus with a few other guys he took with him. And during that trip, a huge light came upon them on that road. Have you ever had a bright light come to you where you can barely see what's around you? Well, on the road, that's exactly what he saw. And so did his friends, except he was the only one that could hear what was being said to him. And when that light came about, it was Jesus who came down in a bright light. And he said, Saul, why? Why are you doing the things that you have done? Why are you persecuting the people? Because they believe in me. And from that day on, for 3 days, Saul lost his eyesight. He could not see for 3 days. And in the town of Damascus, God had already spoken to a man named Ananias. Ananias was just a believer like all of the other Christians who were being persecuted. And God spoke to him and said, you know that man Saul? I want you to go find him and pray for him. Well, remember, Saul was filled with hatred. He wasn't living a life of sacrifice. No one wanted to be around him. They were afraid of him. So Ananias was obedient, and he went to Saul, he prayed for him, and Saul was able to see again. And from that day on, when he met Ananias, his life and everything he thought he lived for started to change. It wasn't easy for him because he had a bad reputation. He was known to hurt all of the fellow Christians who believed in Jesus. So although his heart started to change, he had a long ways to go to fully accept his life and accept Jesus into his life. And it took time, and Ananias took time with him. And he taught him and he helped him to the point where Saul had a new mission in life. He no longer had the desire to hurt those who believed in Jesus because his heart was changed. His desire was to live a life of sacrifice and to share the good news of what God had done to his life. And he made him a new person. See, it wasn't easy for Saul. People were still scared of him when he came to talk about Jesus. But it didn't matter because he knew that his new mission was to live a life of sacrifice. You and I can also change our lives. No matter what we're doing in life, we can always take a few seconds and look at what we're doing and change it. And if we need help, we can always pray to God and say, God, I need your help to change my life so that I can live a life of sacrifice. That leads me to our verse for today. Our verse you can find in Romans 12, and the verse says, be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourself. We can easily honor each other by doing good to one another. You know what? I didn't forget. Today is a very special day. It so happens that today is Mother's Day. And who better to honor today because they've lived a life of sacrifice to make sure that you and I have all the things that we need in order to live this life than to do nice and fun things for them. we are going to go into our craft time. And after arts and craft, I'm going to show you a fun game that you can do with your mommies or your grandmoms or that special woman in your life. It's craft time. So I just want to let you know that some of the items that I have for today's craft does not have to be the same items that you use, because this is an opportunity for you to be creative. And remember, today's topic is living a life of sacrifice, a living sacrifice. And I just thought it would be awesome to honor our mothers and remember and honor them for all of the sacrifices that they've done in all of our lives. So we are dedicating this craft for Mother's Day items. So these are some of the things that I use in order to make a few crafts dedicated to my mama today. So I have a glue stick. I found this in my basement and it works. Scissors, a jar. Doesn't have to be a jar. If you have a yogurt cup that was used before, you can use that to decorate. I found some ribbon. I don't know why I have ribbon, but I have ribbon. This is optional, a little bit of rice. You do not need to use this for the craft, but I'm just going to use it to show you the different things that you can do and how to use it. Some regular scrap paper, but I'm going to put this aside because I already pre-made some of the crafts. I have some yarn or string. Of course, anything you have to color and to decorate. So I have crayons and color pencils. If you have markers, feel free. I also had an old egg carton box, which I used for another craft to cut up and do something decorative for my mom. Okay? So I just want to show you a few things that you can do with these items. So as you can see, I cut this up. I had cut up a few items to make a few Mother's Day cards. So one of the crafts that I did has to do with tracing your hands. I have scrapbook paper. You can use any kind of paper, construction paper, blank paper, and be decorative and be creative. And what I did is, you might need somebody to help you do this, not your mommies. Moms, no peeking. This is for the kids only. It is a surprise for you. So if you have someone else that can help you, you want them to trace your hands on a piece of paper. And once you do that, you want to make a little heart shape. Once you do that, you're going to cut it out. You're going to cut the hand out and inside the hand, and voila, you have a Mother's Day card. And it says, Happy Mother's Day, I love you. Okay, the heart's upside down, but you can give it to your mom and you can write the fun things that you want to say to her in this card. Another thing that you can do is, I only have plain blank paper, so I took a blank piece of paper, and with the yarn, which I have a lot of, and if you have other things that you can decorate a sheet of paper with or construction paper with, I encourage you to do so. And you can create your own Mother's Day card. I used the yarn to make a heart, and inside I made a flower. And I wrote really cool and nice things to my mommy, wishing her well, letting her know that I love her so much. The other activity that you can do is you can make another Mother's Day card. I traced out a heart, but I didn't cut it all the way to the end. You can see it here. I cut it halfway, and then I folded it. And then I cut it again so that I can have a folding heart. Another fun Mother's Day card that you can do for your mom today and give it to her. Now, you know that I like to play games. And using some of these items, we are going to play a quick little game. But before we do so, I have one more craft. Now, some of us don't have money to buy flowers, right? why not make her some cool flowers? So what I did is I took the egg carton and I cut the pieces out so that I can have smaller pieces. You're gonna use your scissors and even cut them smaller into individual size. Markers would be amazing to decorate this with, but I use crayons because that's all I have. Once you do that, you can also grab your jar, and again, if you have a yogurt cup or something, it doesn't matter, you can use that. I took some of my pencils, I stuck a hole in the middle after decorating, and I made flowers into this wonderful jar that I used my ribbon to decorate. Here are a few other flowers that I used to decorate. Isn't that cute? I think it's cute. Wait, I forgot one thing for crafts. My bowl of rice. So you can do, what you can do is you can color these by using markers, or get some water and get some markers and mix it all in there, make them colorful. This is what I had the rice for. Oh no, I might make a mess. Oops! Okay, we'll just put a little bit for now since I'm making a mess. But the rice is gonna help you decorate the inside and keep your flowers in place. There you go. Isn't that cute? Now, I know YouTube has a lot of fun craft ideas. You can do whatever you like, or you can try any one of these. Are you ready to play my game with me? Come on, let's go play. My suggestion for a game this week that you can play with your moms, your grandmoms, your aunt, or whoever you have that is that special woman in your life that you want to honor on Mother's Day. How many of you guys ever played that game, Hot and Cold? Okay, yeah, it's a very old game. So it's very easy to explain. So I took one of the cards, and the person who's behind the camera is going to hide it. So if you're playing this, if you're gonna play this with your mom, you can take that very special card that you're gonna make, or an item that makes her feel sad or happy, well, sad in a good way, happy and joyful, like a picture of you and her or you and that person, and you can hide it in the room, somewhere in the room, and play this game, Hot and Cold. Now, it has to be a secret. They can't see the item yet, or they can't know that you're hiding this item, because when they find it, you want them to feel so happy and so excited, feel all types of good stuff. So the person behind this camera who's filming me is going to hide this card, and we're gonna play the game Hot and Cold. Let's see how long it's gonna take me to find this Mother's Day card, okay? All right, stay tuned. All right, let's see if I can find this, all right? Tell me if I'm hot or cold.
Cold. Getting hot. Getting hot.
Must be in this room.
Getting hot. Oh. Getting hot. Oh, you're getting a little colder.
Uh-oh.
Getting warmer.
Oh, it's
getting
somewhere
warmer.
near here.
Getting hot. Getting hot. Getting hot. Getting hot.
I found it! So I hope you guys play this with your mommy and daddies, or of course your mommy on Mother's Day. And I will see you guys next Sunday. Goodbye!